I want to go ahead and welcome you all to the Frontier. So my name is Alicia Josie, and I'm the program coordinator here. So if you come over to our Frontier programs, you'll most likely see me. So I'm sure I'll talk with each one of you at some point before you leave the event. But if you've never been to the Frontier before, we are the Triangle's only free co-working space. So on your way in on the right, you should have seen a co-working space. If you get tired of working at home or you just want to get into a different space, come visit us. It's completely free. So we host a variety of programming and events like this one. So on the menu, we do this every month. We have a different topic, a different session leader, and they're all aimed at helping small businesses. So if you're in person, please just keep all of your questions to the very end. If you are online, type your questions in the chat. We've got 2 representatives who can answer your questions all throughout. So now I'm happy to hand it off to our session leader for today, Director Tammie Hall. Tammie serves as the director for the Office of Historically Underutilized Businesses, also known as HUB, and assistant to the Secretary for HUB Outreach for the state of North Carolina. Here, she's responsible for developing policy and guidelines for the state's HUB program. So please help me welcome Tammie Hall.
Okay, good afternoon. I hope that you can all hear me. And to those that are joining us online, good afternoon to you as well. Hopefully you will enjoy your lunch. I had mine a little bit earlier and it's absolutely delicious. So thank you for the hospitality. And who knew some of the things that, Alicia was just talking about relative to the Frontier. There's opportunity here for you to utilize space. So please do that. Please come here. It gives you an opportunity to network with others as well and continue to build relationships. So once again, I'm Tammie Hall, and I have the awesome pleasure of serving as the division director for the Office for Historically Underutilized Businesses, a part of state government, operating under the 75th governor of this great state, Roy Cooper, and Secretary of Department of Administration, Pamela Cashwell. So certainly this office has been in existence for an extremely long time, 1999. Who knew in this room that we had an office for historically underutilized businesses? Online, yeah. So in some states, it's referred to as the MWBE office. It could be the Small Minority Women-Owned Business Office. It could be Minority-Owned Business Office, MWBE office, WBE office. So there are all types of acronyms all over the country. But basically, these businesses are all known as historically underutilized businesses. North Carolina and Texas reference small, minority, and women-owned businesses as hubs. So you'll hear me refer to hubs to shorten down what we're having a conversation about today. How many in the room are new business owners? Created during the pandemic? Seasoned business owners, you've been in existence for a while, still fine-tuning. Construction services, you do construction related. Professional services, architects, engineers. Services in general. Good deal, good deal. Okay, so, it's always good to know there are opportunities at the local level, there are opportunities at the state level, there are opportunities at the federal level. So you have 3-pronged opportunities to really see what's out there in the market space and take advantage of those opportunities. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to show up and just listen. To continue to be a knowledge seeker. Always continue to be a knowledge seeker. That's how we define and we grow and we enhance what we have. So I'm certainly happy to be here. I came into this administration in 2017 when the governor came into the governorship. And prior to that, I've spent time in corporate. I've also spent time on Capitol Hill. So I've seen it at all different levels, all supporting small minority women-owned businesses and community economic developments. The rubber meets the road in local communities. So once again, it's exciting to be here. Next slide. So the Office for Historically Underutilized Businesses was created in 1999 as an executive order under Governor Jim Hunt at that time. Each governor has come in and they've added their spin to the program. They have the purview to do that through an executive order. Each governor has come in and fine-tuned it to make sure it mirrors what their vision is for engagement at this level. And so we own in the HUB office, HUB certification. You know, many years ago, prior to 2009, you had to travel all over the state. If you wanted to do business in Asheville, you went to Asheville to get certified. You want to do business in Greensboro, you had to go city of Greensboro. So depending on what locale you were interested in doing business in, you had to go visit those municipalities to understand how do you become a vendor, a business owner. Well, you know, we decided that, you know, there should be an easier process for businesses. You've got enough things that you're concerned about: cash flow, insurance, you know, access to capital. There are enough barriers that already exist than for you to be around the state, 100 counties trying to figure out how to do business, and or if you're applicable to meet their particular qualifications. So we came together in the state of North Carolina and we passed statewide uniform certification. And so what that meant was the HUB certification would be the dominant certification, and it would be applicable across all of our counties from Manteo to Murphy, applicable. And the HUB office owns that responsibility. So we own HUB certification. We also started in the midst of a pandemic, we started a small business enterprise program. So specifically geared race neutral for small businesses, 1.5 million and below, 100 employees or below. We also spend a great deal of time in advocacy and business development. It's not enough for us to get you certified. The answer is what's next. And so in our area, we work really hard to get you through the certification process. It's not meant for everybody. Everybody don't fit into that bucket, and that's okay. But for those that qualify, it's our job to help get you through certification. But once we do that, we must then develop you on the red tape, the requirements, what that process looks like in state government, local government, federal government, so that now you take that HUB certification and you really make it meaningful for you. A number of our businesses will add it to their email, so they will have it as a part of their signature block. It is a privilege to have HUB certification as a part of your signature block. And so we see that with vendors that have gone through that certification process. We're constantly advocating. We're at the table. We have 10 cabinet agencies that are under the governor's direct purview. There are 10 council of states, whether that's Secretary of State, Secretary of Insurance, Labor, those are councils. And then we have about 9 other support agencies. We have 19 public institutions, higher education, and we have 58 community colleges. That's a lot going on in state government here in North Carolina. And our office plays a role in ensuring that out of all of those different agencies, they're doing what they can to ensure that you are a part of the process. And the HUB certification is what we use to hold them accountable. Compliance. We trust, but we verify. So when we talk about a little later in this presentation what our goal is for the state of North Carolina, We trust that our agencies are doing everything they should be doing to ensure that you're at the table, you're participating in the supply chain, but then we verify that by having them submit reports that come into our office, and we provide oversight and monitor the reporting. And then our newest addition to the HUB office is the Minority Business Development Agency Business Center, which is located right here in the RTP. We're over in the 600 building, maybe 700 building. But anyway, we're right behind here. 600, okay, 600 building. But our offices are there, and we wrote in the HUB office, Shay and I put together a plan and proposal to the MBDA agency in Washington, D.C. to bring the center back to North Carolina. And you'll hear more about that as we go in the presentation as well. So, minority businesses. What qualifications would determine whether you're in that category or not? Number one, you're 51% owner, involved in day-to-day management, control by that particular individual. If you are HUB certified, you heard me earlier talk about we hold agencies accountable. If you're certified and they're utilizing your business, it's been counted towards what our HUB participation goals are in this state. No different than Georgia, DC, Texas. We all have goals, and we count the certified firms as a part of that. What are the categories that qualify you to be a minority business? Black, Asian, Native American, Hispanic. We also have a female category. So if you're not in one of those ethnic categories, you're female, you qualify. Disabled. If you're medically disabled and you've got documentation to show that, you qualify. If you're a disabled veteran, you qualify. And then our final category is disadvantaged business owner, which is defined by the federal government. So those are our categories for determining if you qualify for HUB certification. So based on the categories, do we have vendors, do we have firms in here today that would meet qualification? Okay. Do we have any vendors here that are already HUB certified? Good, good to see you, HUB Nation. Okay, next slide. So when we talk about certifications, we've got several that are already on the books, ready, willing, and able, ready to do work. We've got 5,900 that are already certified in this state. 5,900. When we came in, we had maybe 2,700. So we've increased the number of certified businesses, because the last thing that we want agencies to do is say, Tammie, we can't find anybody, because they're all trying to meet their goals. We can't find anybody in this category, in this industry. We got 5,900 vendors that are HUB certified. We've got 2,000 that are small business enterprises. Fit into that category I talked about earlier, 1.5 million, 100 employees or less. Next slide. The other thing is, if you look at that map, go back really quick, we look at that map. I love this map because it really gives me a depiction of where the businesses are located. So if we had to focus and really target, we see we need to go further west. We've got some counties out further west that are not, we don't have any vendors in that are HUB certified, but we know they can have public work. And the statute said if you're spending $1 of public funds, you should be meeting the HUB goal. So we've got agencies, we've got state government entities out there, and they're looking too for HUB certified businesses. Okay, next slide. So you heard me talk about HUB participation. So the state's goal is 10% HUB participation. It's been 10% for quite some time now, to be honest. I've been doing this work for about 20 years. The goal has been 10%. And so the goal is defined based on a disparity study. So in state governments, the court has been very clear. You just can't come up with an arbitrary goal. Today the sun's shining, and I think we ought to have 30%. No, I can't do that. The court said, no, no, no. You must do what's called a disparity study. And the study takes a look at statewide, who's in the market space, and have you had difficulties in doing business in government? And if so, are you ready, willing, and able? And we should be looking at that. And then state government should also be identifying ways that we can improve access to opportunities and drive a level playing field. Now, it took us a long time. We've had disparities in this country for a long, long time. So what we know is we can't make a change that we can see through numbers overnight. It took us a long time to get here. It's going to take us a lot longer to really see a lot of the progress, but we see it. We see it. You heard me talk about holding agencies accountable. So they turn in those reports to us. We review them, make sure the numbers look right. And then we pull together and compile for leadership, governor's office, and the General Assembly. We compile a report that gives us what our yearly spend numbers have been. Our goal is 10%. And what you see before you today is what we achieved in purchasing. So in goods and services, and many of you said you were in service areas here. As you can see, we're under the goal. We're at 6%, but I can promise you we're not where we were when we came through the door. We're a lot further ahead. We spent last fiscal year, $8 billion. How many of you in here would like some of that money? 8 billion with a B. That's a lot of money. State government is a huge economic engine. Opportunities, economic engine, but you must show up on the books. That's the answer. You must show up. And so even though we achieved 6%, $509 million went to HUB. That's a lot of money. We're not at 10%, but I guarantee you that's a lot of money going into communities, which all of us are a part of. Those communities, 509 million. So we're not where we'd like to be, but we're excited about where we've made it to at this point. Construction. When we talk about construction, and a couple of hands went up that said they were in the construction industry. We are one of few states in the country that have legislation on the books that mandate historically underutilized business participation. So it's embedded in the fabric of this state. It is a statute. Construction statutes have been in existence since, I want to say, 2003. We had minority business legislation that passed, Senate Bill 914, I think it was, created the minority business program. And in statute in construction, it very clearly defines what roles and responsibilities are, from a public owner to a business owner, as well as our prime vendors. So in construction, the goal is 10% as well. This year, you're going to see a lot of construction, though. We had a huge R&R budget that was presented, and we know that there are lots of construction. If you look around the state, you see development activity going on. There are a number of corporations that have selected North Carolina as the next place for their headquarters. So we've got a lot of industry movement when it comes to construction. In construction, we're ahead of the goal. We're at 19% last year. Goal was 10, we're at 19. And on design, we're doing rather good as well. We're at close to 14%. design, architects, engineers, professionals with license, those types of categories. We're doing really good in that area. And these are HUB firms that have HUB certification. Next slide, please. So what does the state of North Carolina buy? If you can envision it, we can probably buy it. If it's legal, we can probably buy it. I get asked all the time, I don't think the state buys what I do. No. You should probably try. I mean, NC Central was hiring for barbershop, someone to manage a business to manage barbershop, beauty shop. Who knew? We needed certified barbers, barbershops, beauty shops. I mean, there are all types of products and service needs. And COVID, we definitely know that businesses had to diversify. Maybe you changed the game. You decided, I see the industry going this direction and I need to join it by recreating my business plan. A lot of that happened. We also heard from the Secretary of State, we had the highest number of businesses created in the midst of the pandemic ever in North Carolina. And the majority of them were minority and women-owned businesses. So we know that viable businesses are out in the market space. We just need to understand how to get in the game and play. You can't win the game if you're never in the game.
Yes.
And so when you look at the listing of all different types, medical care, landscaping, space heaters, cameras, all types of neat vehicles, cleaners. We have a number of custodial cleaning companies that we engage in. Now you think about this all over the state. So 100 counties. There's a lot of things that need to be procured. So if you're in Durham, the city of Durham should be your best friend. County of Durham should be your best friend. Same thing if you're over in Raleigh and Wake County. Those local municipalities should know who you are. And what does that mean? It means that you probably have to show up at some city council meetings. You have to show up at some commissioner meetings. They need to know you exist. Your voice matters. It all starts local and then it filters up. But it also starts with each of you becoming more engaged, more aware of where these opportunities are, because they're there, but it also requires you to do your research. Take a look at your business and your structure. Who's in the market space as your competitor? Who does the same thing that you do? Do your research. Determine who your best competitors are. And set your game to be better. Don't overpromise. Sometimes it's good to underpromise and overachieve.
There you go.
And for many of you, it'll be your first time in state government or local government. So you want to make sure you understand every aspect of a contract. Don't just be happy you got $20,000 contract. Make sure you're happy and you understand what is being asked of you. And it's okay for you to ask questions. So please do that. Don't get yourself in a legal situation that you have to figure out how to get out of. You want to make sure you're doing business and you understand what you're doing. Throughout the state, we have liaisons, hub coordinators that work hand in hand with our office, and they are there to assist you. So wherever you're going to do business, you want to ask, I'm hub certified. Who here is the MWBE hub liaison? Make sure they know who you are, because when you're not able to be at the table, they are your advocate. They want to be able to hype you up, be your cheerleader. And they can't do that if they don't know who you are. So you want to do your research, analyze the market. Make sure your capability statements are together. Next slide, please. We're wrapping up this task force, but I have been so proud to be a part of the development of the Andrea Harris Social, Economic, Environmental, and Health Equity Task Force. For those of you that may not have known Dr. Harris, she was a huge giant in this state, advocating for minorities, advocating for women. She spent her lifetime doing that. She was a Bennett Bell graduate. She was embedded in this community. She passed away about 2 years ago, and we're still trying to replace her, figure out who in the world could have the strength, the courage to be at the table and fight and be a voice. She could call the governor, she could call the senators. They answered her call. So it was such a huge honor to be a part of creating this task force, which was named in her honor, to ensure that, number one, we keep her legacy alive here, but that we are embedding and embodying those principles that she most eloquently articulated to the high-ranking leaders. And so the governor made it a priority as we began to experience COVID as we knew it. We knew that we would have issues, economics, social, environmental as a result of the pandemic. We were having issues prior to the pandemic. So the pandemic exacerbated what was already happening. And so clearly this team under the governor's leadership was ready to address those needs here in the state. And they're winding down on that work, but there has been a report that has been created that will outline a lot of the accomplishments that were done under the auspice and inspired by Dr. Andrea Harris. Next slide. So when we start to talk about the benefits of being HUB certified, you heard me earlier talk about it's a privilege to be HUB certified. The certification does not belong to everyone. It is not intended to belong to everyone. You heard me talk about a disparity study. The disparity study clearly told us for the state of North Carolina, we have some disparities in how minorities and women access opportunities. That probably was not new to any of us. Actually, by the time I read the 400-page report, it didn't tell me anything that I didn't already know. We know we have disparities, but we also know the court requires us to document and do the work to ensure that we're leveling the playing field. And we're trying to mitigate any future challenges for anyone. The governor often says North Carolina is open for business. We are open for business for any business owner that wants to do work in North Carolina. And our role in the HUB office is to ensure that that remains a true and relevant statement. And so for those businesses that are certified or were certified, as we corralled together to come up with the Andrea Harris Task Force, what we also knew was that businesses needed money, funds, capital to keep their doors open in the midst of a pandemic. Yes, there were PPP loans, but guess what? PPP loans were predicated on the fact that you had relationships with banks. The businesses that we serve don't typically have mainstream relationships. They don't have detailed relationships with Bank of America. You know, the loan officers, the professionals there, we don't usually engage with them. So as the PPP loan was rolling out, we saw businesses getting access to those funds, but our communities that serve historically underutilized businesses and those businesses in general were not getting the same type of access. So we said, we need to do something. And that something was to create Retooled Nc, the first ever grant program for businesses in North Carolina. We did all of the work, the background work to create this program for certified businesses and disadvantaged businesses. So if you do truck and hauling, highway work on the DOT side, you're disadvantaged business owner, DBE. For all certified DBEs and hubs, you qualified for a grant, which was anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. We've heard from so many businesses that received these monies that this was a lifeline for them to keep their door open, to pay rent, lease, maybe revamp in the midst of the pandemic, you know, change what they're doing. We call it diversifying. So many of them diversified, but I'm proud to be here today to say we have given $21 million to historically underutilized businesses, disadvantaged business owners. Not a loan, capital in the form of a grant to them, anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. And in the last budget cycle, the General Assembly gave us 20 million more. So the businesses really liked it. It was a good opportunity for us to keep a few more businesses open. And so we're in the midst of the 20 million now. We're winding down because the money goes fast. We just opened the portals on June 1st and we're getting very close to closing them because we are pretty much so allocated all of the funds. So you're looking at 21 plus another 20. That's historical. North Carolina, when you look across the country, we're going to be at the top of the pendulum. All because we had the right leadership in place to make the dynamics change for people. We're all change agents. We should be, regardless of where we are. We're trying to provide goodwill. And a part of that requires us to be a part of the change. And not the fact that this is how we've always done it, but a part of the change. $21 million. Next slide. So you heard me talk about the Minority Business Development Agency that's right here in the park. It is sister to the National Minority Business Development Agency, the only federal agency that is in place to support minority businesses. We have a 5-year grant that was given to the HUB office based on our proposal that we wrote from the U.S. Department of Commerce. The funding is here to aid business development for minority businesses. And we're excited. We've been in, I think we've been in existence now for almost a year. July 1 was 1 year, yes. And we're right here in the park. We had the opening ceremony right here in the park. And we're looking for more opportunities to connect businesses to what's going on here in the park from a corporate perspective. Many of the corporate entities in the park receive federal funds. Federal dollars require you to do certain types of contracting with minority businesses. And so we're here in the park. We think it's a prime place to be, but our program and the office services all of North Carolina. So we tend to do outreach all over the state, but we're housed here in the Research Triangle Park. And it is my hope that each of you will find a need to utilize our services, whether that's at state, local, or the federal level. Next slide. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I have no clue. Let's see what time it is. Oh, did pretty good. Did pretty good. Okay. So we're going to bring this to a close. It has been an honor to be here with you today. It is my hope that you've come in and you're leaving with more knowledge than what you came with. You know, kind of like when you go to church, you don't go there same, and leave the same way you came. Hopefully you had a change of mindset. So Let's hope today you had a great learning experience, and I'm happy to entertain any questions as we deem appropriate.
My question is, what, first of all, thank you for hosting this for the community. I guess my question is, are you currently working with any Latino organizations to bring awareness of this, this certification of HUB?
Yeah, absolutely. So you heard me speak earlier of the categories that are applicable for HUB and for the Minority Business Development Agency, but we have relationships with the Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, as well as we work in construction, which would be great for you to know is the Hispanic Contractors Association of Carolinas. They have a very good association that is focused strictly on construction. It's called HCAC, and we're happy to connect you to Lisette, who does an extremely good job over there running that organization.
Yeah, I've actually met with her.
Good.
So yeah, you're right.
Good. Yeah. So we do have relationships. We're also having some of our documents. They're being transcribed into Spanish as well. We have Spanish-speaking employees on board with us, and so they are in the midst of transforming those documents as well.
Because, like, for example, this event, I came across it because I went into a website called or something where it gives you all sorts of events, and that's how I found it. So I was like, I mean, I'm already certified, but it was like, hey, this is coming up.
That's right. So we were invited, and we're happy to be here and happy to support, but we do partner with a number of Hispanic related organizations to ensure that we're getting a wide coverage. We can do more, always. We can do more for all of the ethnic categories we cover, but we certainly have some organizations we partner with.
Thank you so much. My question was about the MWBE and how that services us as business owners. So my understanding is if we wanted to connect, we connect through North Carolina Office of HUB, and MWBE is giving money to the HUB. So it's not like business owners need to look at both entities. It's through North Carolina, is that correct?
Right. So HUB, great question. HUB was really the responsible agency for the grants that we talked about. So the MBDA is focused on training and development. We just hosted this morning. We have an MBDA First Thursday webinar, and we had the SBA on along with our administrator for the 4th region, Alan Thomas. And so we do training and development through the center. So making sure you're connecting the dots, doing whatever type of development you may have a need for. So we have representatives from my office. We have representatives online that can help to connect you to the MBDA services that we offer, but also through the HUB office, which is where the certification lies for the state of North Carolina. We're going to wait for a microphone to get to you. Make sure everyone can hear you.
My friend, they have a business, so I would like to know how long it can take to get the business certified.
Absolutely. A great question. So in the midst of, she wants to know how long it takes to get a business certified when you start the process. So the process is very simple, and we can do it fairly quickly. Our timeline says 45 business days, but the key is that you follow the checklist online and you submit all of the relevant documents, and you start the process by becoming a vendor for North Carolina. It's online. Our office can make sure you have those connections. We can get that information to each of you, but it starts online first. Usually people are calling saying, well, Haven't heard what's going on with my certification. The main key is starting out as a vendor of North Carolina. And when you go through that process, which each of you should want to be a vendor, there are two things that happen that I think are really important. Number one, it takes you to the steps that say, are you interested in being HUB certified? Yes, I am. But it also gives you the ability to determine your commodity codes. So what does your company do? And when you put your codes in, the system will send to you every opportunity that hits that public space that requires a bid. So you get though, and you have to be really careful about your commodity codes. You can't go in there and put 50. You don't have time to look at 50 different types of stuff. You need to narrow it down to 3 or 5 at the most. And every night when procurement agencies are putting in opportunities, it will send them to your email. A couple of things real quick. Keep your email addresses updated. Keep your addresses updated. Keep your telephone numbers updated. Makes no sense for you to be in the database and I can't reach you. Or better yet, the procurement officers that have the opportunities can't reach you. You can't imagine how many times they send back and say, no answer, bounced email. We got to show up at the table. If not, we're what? We're on the menu. We don't want to be on the menu. Any other questions in-house here?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. The first question is there a possibility that the presentation slides will be made available? And second question is, if we're to become a vendor in order to at least be recognized, is there a list of categories applicable opportunities for you? So for example, I don't know whether that's something that apply to an opportunity for state government or city university.
Absolutely. So great question. We can absolutely make the slides available. And yes, getting into the vendor portal will help you identify the codes that are specifically applicable to what you do. So when the purchasers go in and they determine what they're buying, they're going to put the code in, and the code that reflects the service area they're interested in. And if that's one you've registered for, then you will receive that solicitation. Now, what I would suggest, on our website, we have a number of training webinars. So in the midst of the pandemic, we figured out how to be virtual. So we figured out how to stop cutting heads off and, all that type of stuff. We really figured out how to work the technical side of virtual webinars. And so if you go there, you will see some great videos that, number one, help you understand the commodity codes. So how do you go through there and find your commodity codes? And then you heard me talk about it's not enough to just be certified. There is another webinar. Once you become certified, we're going to invite you to come back to a webinar that says HUB certified, now what? And there are plenty of those webinars already on our website. So what I tell people to do is Google North Carolina NC HUB, HUB, and our website will come up. And you go through there, find resources, and you'll find all of our webinars. If not, call us and we'll walk you through it. See one hand in the back. Did I answer? Just one moment. I did see yours. And then I'll come right back.
And I have found out that I guess you have to be registered with each county as well as, I'm not sure how it works, but most of the solicitations I get are from Mecklenburg. I feel uncomfortable 2 hours away. I feel like that's something I can't really respond to effectively. So, you know, how does that, if I'm getting something from a county that may not be possible, is there a way to work around?
Right, so you can define in the system the areas that you're interested in doing work in. So you can put that as a part of your profile and put it into the system. But are you HUB certified already and you're getting those? Okay, okay. So yes, I'll work with our team here and make sure we can, yeah, I think there is a way for you to define the areas that you're interested in, but you should not definitely only be getting advertisements. Yeah, from Mecklenburg County. And the registration is not necessarily for HUB or certification. Many times the cities will say, oh, join our vendor list. And that just gives you an opportunity to get direct solicitations. So they can reach out to you directly, maybe even before it hits that system that's going to send you the opportunities. Yeah, so target your areas. City of Durham, City of Greensboro, County, target your areas.
Okay, so my question is, I really like the program, I like the presentation. But I believe a lot of small businesses may be a little wary about dealing directly with the state government. I'm wondering, is there a flow down requirement for large businesses to use this system to locate and find small businesses and so that they meet their quotas, and are large businesses also required or encouraged to meet that 10% quota?
Absolutely. So we're looking for HUB participation in any category we can get it in. So certainly we're going to target prime, so first tier prime opportunities, but certainly subcontracting, being a part of a primes team as a subcontractor. Everyone has the goal requirement. So even if you are HUB certified, you still, if your dollar threshold is at a level and you're subbing out work, you have a requirement as well to meet HUB participation. So the key is whether you can sole source it, do it all yourself, or if you're subbing out work. If you're subbing out work, yes, this program applies. And whether you're a large business or small business, you still have the requirement to meet the goal. And that is on the construction side. We've moved quickly to goods and service side now to where we are working with procurement agencies and procurement professionals to ensure that the same practice that is mandated on the construction side works on the goods and service side. So there are flow downs. They're not called quotas, they're called participation in good faith efforts.
Something on what he said. And you may know this, but we submitted a bid. It was for a small commercial project where we were the prime contractor, and they asked us, we weren't going to sub it, we were going to do it ourselves. So they wanted us to hire a sub minority contractor, but we were the prime contractors and we were minority certified. So that kind of was like a conflict. And I don't know if you've come across situations like that before.
So in construction, there is an affidavit B. And the affidavit B says when you turn in your bid, you turn in affidavit B, and that says that I plan to perform all of this work with my own force. And so all of the work includes materials, labor, every aspect of that project. You have the warehouse that has the materials in it, you have the labor. If you don't have one or the other, then you're not sole sourcing, you're not performing all of the work on your own. And so at that point, they make a decision and they say, oh, okay, well, if you're going to buy materials and supplies, make a good faith effort to bring in a minority firm. And so that may have been what the situation was, because if you're self-performing and you have every attribute of things that you need, you've got supplies, you've got the labor, you can do that job on your own.
It was a material, where do we get material from?
Right.
Well, Evo is not.
Right. So the goal there is to make the effort. So the effort may be, I searched high and low, found no one. That's the effort.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I have a quick question on the Retooled Nc. Is it too late to apply for that, or what's the process? Do I need to be certified first and then apply, or do I have enough time to do all of it?
So the requirement is to be certified. The portals are not closed. So I don't want to tell you yes or no, but what I will say is start the HUB certification process. You never know. We didn't have any clue when we started this. We started Retool with $12 million from the governor, and it kept growing and growing because the need was so huge. So if you miss this time, it's not to say down the road we'll have something else that we'll be able to do. So I think the key is starting certification.